In August 2025, something big shook Africa and the world. A small country stood up against a project backed by one of the richest men on Earth. It wasn't about money, but about life, health, and control. In just a few days, the news spread everywhere. People could not believe what happened in Burkina Faso. The story begins with mosquitoes, the tiny insects responsible for more than 500,000 deaths every year, mostly in Africa. For decades, international organizations have poured billions into nets, drugs, and insecticides. Yet malaria remains one of humanity's oldest killers. Scientists believed they had a new answer: genetically modified mosquitoes designed to suppress or even wipe out dangerous species. The plan was simple on paper: release altered insects into the wild, allow them to breed, and watch the malaria carriers disappear. But simple ideas can mask complicated consequences. For several years, Burkina Faso was at the center of this experiment. As early as 2019, researchers released genetically modified mosquitoes in controlled trials within the country. Backed heavily by the Gates Foundation, the project was hailed by international health experts as groundbreaking. The promise was clear: an African nation could become the first to defeat malaria with advanced genetic science. But inside Burkina Faso, not everyone was convinced. Concerns rose quickly among citizens, activists, and even government officials. People asked whether foreign organizations were treating Africa as a testing ground. Rumors spread about hidden agendas. Could releasing modified species damage the ecosystem? Could it backfire in ways no one could predict? With limited transparency and a history of mistrust toward foreign interventions, the doubts grew louder. By mid-2025, the tension reached its peak. On August 23, 2025, President Ibrahim Traoré made a bold move. The government officially halted the Gates Foundation-backed project. It was not a quiet bureaucratic delay, but a public declaration. Burkina Faso was stepping back, rejecting the next phase of mosquito releases. The news spread fast, from Bloomberg's business headlines to grassroots African platforms. Social media lit up with debates. Was this a victory for sovereignty or a setback in the war against malaria? The government's decision was layered. Officials argued that while fighting malaria was critical, they would not risk the long-term health of citizens and ecosystems for an unproven method. Traoré's administration emphasized independence. They said African nations must decide their own scientific futures rather than simply implementing solutions pushed from abroad. This position resonated with many Africans who saw the move as resistance to outside control. The Gates Foundation and partner scientists expressed disappointment. They had invested millions in research, logistics, and training. They pointed to years of safety studies and field tests that showed no evidence of harm. In their view, Burkina Faso had missed a chance to lead the world in eradicating malaria. To them, the rejection was political rather than scientific. But for supporters of Traoré's stand, the political aspect was exactly the point. They believed the decision restored agency to a country often sidelined in global decision-making. No matter how promising the technology, they argued, Africans should not be pressured into being first in line for experiments with unknown consequences. This confrontation did not appear overnight. It was shaped by years of debates about aid, science, and trust. Many in Burkina Faso still remember how past foreign health campaigns were rolled out without proper consultation. Others noted that malaria prevention programs, such as bed nets and local medical infrastructure, still lacked funding compared to experimental projects. Why, they asked, leap into genetic engineering when basic healthcare remained underfunded? The halt also reflects a broader shift in Burkina Faso's leadership. Under Traoré, the country has moved away from external influence, especially Western institutions. He has emphasized self-reliance, national pride, and African unity. In that context, rejecting a Gates-backed project was not just about mosquitoes. It was a symbolic rejection of dependency. The debate now moves beyond Burkina Faso. Across Africa, governments, scientists, and citizens are watching. Some countries may decide to continue working with genetic mosquito projects. Others might follow Burkina Faso's lead and demand stronger guarantees before accepting experimental methods. The controversy forces the world to ask, how do we balance urgent health crises with long-term safety and sovereignty? Ali Tapsoba, a leading member of the coalition, said, "The problem is the solution proposed by Target Malaria, which consists of eliminating the vector using gene-drive mosquitoes." Global health experts are divided. Some argue that Burkina Faso's decision delays a tool that could save millions of lives. They warn that every year of hesitation costs thousands of children. Others say the caution is justified, reminding the world of past medical experiments that went wrong. They argue that once genetically modified insects are released widely, There is no going back. Meanwhile, inside Burkina Faso, the conversation has taken on a new dimension. It is no longer only about malaria. It is about dignity, independence, and who gets to shape the future of science in Africa. The rejection has energized civil society groups who demand more transparency in health initiatives. It has also sparked heated arguments between those who see science as liberation and those who see it as intrusion. International media framed the decision differently depending on their audience. Western outlets focused on the setback for anti-malaria innovation. African commentators framed it as a moment of defiance. On platforms like Facebook and Reddit, ordinary people debated whether Bill Gates' foundation was a force for good or an institution with too much influence over vulnerable nations. The polarized reactions highlighted how one small country's decision can ripple across continents. The stakes are enormous. Malaria kills more Africans each year than many wars combined. The need for bold action is real, but boldness does not always mean accepting the latest technology. For Burkina Faso's leaders, boldness meant saying no, even when the world expected them to say yes. It meant slowing down in a race where the wrong step could be irreversible. What happens next will be critical. Will Burkina Faso develop its own malaria strategies without foreign dominance? Will other African nations reconsider their partnerships with large global foundations? Or will the pressure to adopt genetic solutions eventually win out? No matter the outcome, the story has already altered the conversation around health and sovereignty in Africa. As the dust settles, one truth is clear. The battle against malaria is not only scientific, it is political, cultural, and deeply human. Burkina Faso's decision shows that the path to health cannot be separated from the struggle for independence. This is not the end of the fight. It is a new chapter, written not in labs or foundations, but in the choices of nations determined to control their own destinies. If you want to keep up with stories that change the world and shake the powerful, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share it with others. Your support helps us bring you the truth that others don't show.